And hopefully it's going to be relatable and it's not going to be really weird and you're not going to be like Esme or oversharing on the internet. But I have only done yoga once before. And that yoga... Hello everybody and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. Today I'm going to be talking about going to the Meta HQ, doing some yoga. I'm also going to be talking about dressing the horses up and myself for Halloween, and also my dad embarrassing me once again. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Red Post. Red Post is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And this podcast episode, it's going out in November. And you know what that means? It means I can now say the C word. Christmas is around the corner, everybody. Whoop, whoop. The Christmas alarm is going off. So this is your warning. I do a warning every year, but this is your warning. You need to start thinking about buying Christmas presents for your friends and family and loved ones. And if you have a horsey friend, family or loved one, or a country friend, family or loved one, do you know where you should go? Red Post Equestrian. So be sure to go to redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into today's episode, because 2 episodes ago I was saying how I was going to the big Instagram HQ, and I can finally tell you all of the goss, what it's like. So, I'm going to switch between Meta and Instagram because it's the same thing. Meta is like the big overlord that owns Instagram and Facebook and Threads and all the other bits and bobs. But I was there with Instagram for the Meta Wellness Morning, which was very cool. So, I actually met a friend who was at the other Meta thing that I went to, which was the episode where it's like no moles were consumed in this podcast. That one. We had the fancy meal where I definitely did not read the menu correctly. But anyway, so I met a friend there and we ended up actually getting the train up together, because when we were chatting away, we found out we actually didn't live too far away from each other, or that we would get the same train up to London. So that was really nice that I had a friend with me this time, because I feel like I've said this every time I talk about me going to London, but honestly, London is like my second home. I've been to London more than my local city or my local town. So anyway, there we go. And like always, I like to get places a little bit early. So we got there early, got there in time. So we had a little bit of shopping time on Oxford Street together, which was so much fun. Do you know what I've been on the lookout for recently this kind of autumn? Because I see so many of the cute girlies wearing cute little autumn skirts with boots, that kind of thing. I've come to the conclusion, now everyone says shopping for jeans is difficult. Like, I get it. Women's sizes, like, it is difficult. If you pick up one size, sometimes, like, I'm a size above than I normally am. Sometimes I'm a size below. Like, it's not fun. It's not easy. But one thing nobody talks about is trying to find skirts that fit. Now, I almost gave up completely of finding my cute autumn skirt, but I did manage to find one in the end, and that is because maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I'm getting old, and this is a sign. But every skirt that I tried on that fit me round the waist, one wrong move, and my cheeks were going to be out. It was not going to be a good look. Like, I don't know what it was, but all of the skirts that I've tried on recently have been so short. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm wearing a belt, not a skirt. Now, maybe that's just me being old, or maybe that's me growing up. But now I'm in my 20s, I'm like, no. I don't think it was ever a good look, but I'm like, no, I feel way too self-conscious. I feel way too uncomfortable. I just know that I'm going to walk along, even if it looks fine. Like, when I'm standing there, when I walk, it's going to ride up. And that is when I have found out that skater skirts, guys, I think it's going to happen. I think they're going to come back into fashion. It's been 10 years since 2014. I am saying that skater skirts, they're going to come back. So anyway, when we were shopping, me and my friend, I found this skirt, but it came out in like a really nice way. It's kind of like skater skirty, but it has a little bit more shape to it actually, so it holds itself up a little bit better. If any of you guys have heard of Odd Muse dresses, it looks a little bit like the skirts on them. That's the bottom bit of the dress. And oh my goodness, okay, I've got one in white and I have one in black, and I'm so excited because my little top tip, if you want to wear a cute outfit with a skirt in the winter or the autumn, get fleece lined tights. You can get these like really fleecy lined ones. I just got mine online, and then on the outside it looks like you have either skin colored tights on, or it looks like it's your flesh, and then you have like thin black tights on, when actually they are super thick, super warm. It's warmer than wearing leggings, honestly. They're like thermal. And then you can wear a cute skirt, cute dress, that kind of thing, especially if you fancy dressing up a little bit. Like a lot of the time for me, I'm either walking around in jeans or riding leggings or breeches or workout leggings. Like that is my normal day to day. Like if I'm going out to town, or to the going out on the town, no, if I'm going to my local town, like shopping or meeting up with a friend for a coffee, I like to play dress up. I like to put a little bit of effort into my outfit. So anyway, this has gone really off topic, but that's my little winter hack for you guys: fleece lined tights. But anyway, I was so glad that I managed to find that maybe pencil skirts just aren't the vibe for me. I don't know, it was all the pencil skirts that were really short, but this like flowy one, I felt so confident in it fit well around the waist. I was like, perfect. So if you're struggling for winter skirts, get yourself a skater style skirt, because they are brilliant. Anyway, moving on. After our little shopping interlude, we then went to the Meta HQ. Did we walk around the whole building trying to find the entrance? Yes, we did. Between the two of us, we did manage to get there in the end and find the entrance, which was very cool because they had all the Meta signs everywhere. They had a little sign that said Meta Wellness Morning, and then it had like the Facebook thumbs up on it, which I thought was very cool. And then we walked in, and I didn't really realise how high security this would be, because I was like, oh yeah, we're going to go to the HQ, fun, woo, let's go. And then when we walked in, they were like, I need your name, I need a form of ID. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I forgot about this. I'm so glad that I always keep my driver's license in the back of my phone case, because you never know, especially like a lot of the things that I do with my jobs where I'm trying to get into horse shows or press things or that kind of thing. A lot of places do like to see your ID. I can't remember where it was. There was one place and they wanted to like look on my bank thing. It was the Windsor Horse Show, I'm pretty sure. They wanted to, it was really weird. It was like, I was like, oh, I don't know, it was like I was going into MI5 or something, like I was a secret agent. But they wanted to get up my internet banking to see that my address on my internet banking matched my address on my driver's license. I was like, what in the world? Anyway, I managed to get in the end. But it wasn't that bad. But no, and then we all had a little lanyard that had our name in and what name on and why we were there and that we were officially there and that kind of thing, because I guess we also had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or an NDA, which basically is like, I will not give away any of Meta's secrets, which I was reading this through. I was looking at my friend, I was like, we're here for like content creation. Surely we should be able to film lots of stuff. Like I didn't really, it's one of those things where it's a long old page and I'm like, am I signing my life away? Like, what is this? Are they going to kidnap me or something? No, it was all good. So then we went in, and we were only really on the bottom floor. They had this like whole little, section where we had breakfast. Also, when I was, because obviously my dad wasn't there with me, but my dad works with me and he's quite nosy. He likes to know what I get up to. And anyway, I posted this Instagram story of the quote unquote breakfast that we had there, and my dad was like, that breakfast looked rubbish, it was just a load of water and fruit. And I was like, no, that was just the water station. I didn't actually take pictures of the actual breakfast, which was like all of these pastries. They had a whole cheese board. Oh my gosh, if you know me, cheese is my favorite food. So did I try every single type of cheese? That was probably about 7 different cheeses there. Yes, I did. But no, they had this like full-on water station where they had all like, I was gonna say flavored water, but it was water that had fruits in, so it was very Instagram, very aesthetic, very pretty. And then so that was really nice. So I had a little snack, had a little chit chat, catching up with my content creator friends, and then me and my friend got taken into this room. Sorry, that sounds really like we got taken into this room, we got taken away from the group, but we did some filming, which is very cool. So they had like a whole green screen there, and we did like a little Meta, kind of like putting me in the Meta Instagram universe. And she was like, doesn't show her face as much on camera with her content that she does, so she was like, Esme, you go first, you're better at being in front of the camera, you go. So I had to do like all these like poses and that kind of thing. So that was good fun. A little awkward, especially when you don't have any music or anything, and you're just like, they're just like, yeah, just do some poses and smile and wave, and you just have to do this like kind of impromptu dance / routine. I was like, well, what am I doing? But it's one of those things that if you look confident and you act like you know what you're doing, then it looks less awkward. If you stand there being really awkward and shy and like, oh, this is really awkward. Well, it's gonna look awkward, isn't it? So you gotta go full into it. So we did that, and then after that we had a chat. So it was a bit more of a chat. That sounds really like we just had a little chat. No, we had Instagram basically do a talk to us about the app and what things are working at the moment, what things are good, and what things they're excited for with the future. Hush hush, secret. And then also there were 4 other content creators, and they all went to the front and they did like a little panel talking about how they got into content creation, what sort of stuff they do. It was really inspiring hearing some of their stories, so I really enjoyed that. Like, it honestly felt like I was at like a little Instagram school, how we all sat down and watched like a little slideshow from Meta or Instagram talking about different things. Like, honestly, yeah, it felt like I was back at school, especially when we did the yoga as well, because with these sort of things, there's quite a few people that are quite big personalities, so there was a lot of laughs and giggles and that kind of thing when we were doing the yoga, because when I tell you, because it was like, the wellness morning, so we went into this other room to do the yoga, and they had all these mats out, and oh my gosh, when I walked in, I was so excited, because at these things, you do normally get some very nice freebies and goodies and that kind of thing. And again, I'm very, very grateful to Instagram for very kindly inviting me. And anyway, I was like, this cannot be real, because at first on like the invite that I got, it kind of sounded like that there was going to be a competition of who was going to win a Meta Quest 3. If you don't know what a Meta Quest 3 is, it's basically one of those like VR headset kind of things, and you have 2 little Joy-Cons, and you can do gaming on it, you can scroll through Instagram on it, you can literally do like anything on the internet on it, really, to be honest. You can watch YouTube, you can watch Netflix, like the possibilities are endless. I sound like I'm really selling it here. So anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, I'd be so excited to get one of these, because I just know that me and my brother would have so much fun, like when he comes back home for Christmas with the family, like that kind of thing. Like, oh my gosh, imagine putting up my grandma. I feel like that'd be so funny. Anyway, so I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. So we walk in. I do not want to know how much it would have all of these MetaQuest costs, because there was quite a lot of us. There was probably maybe like 40 of us, I want to say. Like, there was a decent amount of people, bigger than like a classroom at school, I would say, because that's normally about 30 people. But anyway, walked in, and there was all these yoga mats with an Instagram embroidered I was going to say towel then, like a blanket kind of thing, like very fancy looking blanket. There was a Meta Quest for each content creator. There was an Instagram glass water bottle, which was very snazzy, with like a bamboo lid, very aesthetic. And then what else was there? There was a tote bag as well, either an Instagram or a Threads tote bag. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so excited when I found out I was going to get a Meta Quest. I cannot tell you, I was like a little kid on Christmas. But anyway, we went down, we did some yoga, and I might have embarrassed myself a few times. Now, I'm gonna tell this story, and hopefully it's gonna be relatable, and it's not gonna be really weird, and you're not gonna be like, Esme, you're oversharing on the internet. But I have only done yoga once before, and that yoga was online on Zoom with a bunch of my friends, and we were like, oh, let's like all do some yoga together. And I was so glad, because there was like one of our friends was a yoga instructor, and she was going through like different yoga kind of stuff for us to do, and we're like, oh, this is a fun little lockdown activity. I cannot tell you how glad I am that I had my Zoom call kind of audio turned off, because if not, I would have been mortified. I don't think I've ever told anyone this before. Anyway, when you're doing yoga, you do all these different poses and all these different moves and that kind of thing. And if you're somebody that has tummy trouble sometimes, you might relate to this. But one of the poses that we did, I might have let out some gas, okay? It would have been worse if I had like my volume turned on. Oh my gosh, can you imagine if everyone heard? And like, you know, like on Zoom where like there's lots of different people, and they would have known who it was, because your little box would have lit up, or your box would have been like the main square that pops up. Oh my goodness, can you imagine how bad that would have been? Anyway, I might have let out a little toot. So when it came to doing yoga in front of all these content creators that are way cooler than me and have way more followers than me and all that kind of stuff, and I was right at the front as well, because we were the first to walk in. They were like, oh, straight to the front. I was like, oh, lovely, everyone's going to watch me do yoga, and I'm going to be right at the front. Anyway, I was like, all I'm going to say is I did not have any coffee that morning. That's all I'm going to say. But it was all good. There was no embarrassment apart from my dyslexia was very strong that day. I have this thing where I really struggle with audio processing instructions. Like if somebody tells me a list of instructions, like, oh my gosh, I am the worst when you like in the middle of nowhere, you're struggling to find directions, you meet some lovely person, you're like, oh, do you mind telling me which direction this is? And they're like, oh yeah, you take 2 lefts and then a right and then at the roundabout you go round here. That is in one ear and out the other. I cannot be doing that. I either need to have it written down or visually. Like I'm a visual person, not an audio person. So when we were doing all the yoga moves and when you're like half lying down, feeling like you're playing a game of Twister, one arm's round here, one leg's back there, and then she says, oh, move your left leg forward. I'm not sure what my left and right is. Like I know my lefts and rights. I never have to do the like left hand, right hand, and my right-handed, like that kind of thing. Like I know my lefts and rights, but when she's saying left leg here, right leg there, that kind of thing, I do get a little bit muddled. I am a little bit dyslexic and dyspraxic, so I think it's also moving my body parts as well. The dyspraxia was strong as well, so the amount of times, because I was right at the front as well, the poor yoga instructor had to be like, oh no, your other right, and I was like, oh okay. So I did struggle a little bit, but it was all good. I didn't embarrass myself too much. And I tell you what, the next day, like yoga is a workout. I'll tell you that. It's something that I haven't done too much of. Obviously, I have all my stretches that I have to do that my physio prescribes me. But actual like yoga, oh my gosh. Like the next day, I felt like I'd been at the gym. Like I was walking around like just all of my muscles were aching. So it goes to show I should probably do more of that, because she said when I was like stretching and doing all the moves, she was like, if it hurts a lot, that means that you need to do more of that, because that's why you're tight. And I was like, girl, I am tight all over. Like this is good for me, but I am aching. So anyway, the yoga was really fun. And then after that we did a sound bath, which I don't think I've ever really done one of those before. I think maybe we had like a singing lady come into my primary school when I was probably about 8 or 9, and she sang to us and had like little singing bowls and that kind of thing. We did like a music workshop, but I never had like a proper sound bath before. I was talking to loads of people and they were saying how like honestly they fell asleep during it because it was so relaxing. When this is going to sound really bad, but when you're in London, wherever you are, you're going to hear London noises. And we were right next to some roadworks, so she was doing the sound bath and I could still hear like the cars going on outside and the roadworks and like this like big drill going on and people upstairs walking about, and there was one lady outside like with a hoover, and I was like, it's not quite a, you know, but I still got into my groove. I got into the sound bath, found it very relaxing. If any of you have listened to like ASMR, it's a little bit like that, where it kind of like really relaxes you. Although I am somebody that's really bad at switching my brain off. I'm not very good at mindfulness. So I was just lying there thinking, oh, what am I going to be doing later? Oh, I need to do this and then I need to do that. And it's like, no, Esme, this is where you're actually supposed to switch your brain off. So anyway, maybe I need to do more of that. Maybe I need to do more like yoga and meditation. That's probably one of those things that will be very good for me. But I haven't delved into that yet. But maybe it's my time to do that. But anyway, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was something different. It was quite nice to just lie down on a mat and relax for a little while. And then afterwards, we had a little bit of lunch, chatted to some people, and that was the end of the wellness morning. So just want to say a huge thank you again to Meta for very kindly inviting me. I feel very honoured to be invited and to have one of their Meta quests as well. After that, I was thinking, oh, do I stay in London a little bit more, do some bits and bobs? And I was like, no, I am literally holding like a very expensive Meta quest here. Like, I don't want to get mugged. I'm going home and do my paperwork at home instead, rather than in like a coffee shop or something. So anyway, I have had a play with it. I'll tell you what, it is good fun. I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work? I had to go without, because you have like little controllers that you can use for it, and I put them down. You can use it without the controllers, and I thought it was going to be one of those things where you really have to like struggle to do it. But oh my gosh, you can go on Instagram there and you can scroll. I was so surprised by the scrolling, because it's kind of like 3D, you have this like floating thing in front of you. But with the scrolling, like it is exactly where it looks like it can be. Like it almost feels like you're pressing it, even though you're literally just swiping through the air, and you probably look like you've been possessed if anybody is watching you if you didn't have the goggles on, because I'm like there moving around, putting my hands everywhere. One thing I was worried about was walking into a wall, but they do have very good like barriers put in place, so you kind of like walk around your room first and it kind of maps it out, and it's really clever. Like it knows exactly where the coffee table is, it knows where the sofa is, so it won't let you walk into like objects on the floor. So, and then if you do actually almost go to like walk into a wall, it like a wall kind of thing pops up. Like it goes a little bit gradual at first. So there's like little kind of crosses on the screen kind of thing that pop up. I think that's the best way I can describe it. But you don't have to worry about walking into walls if that's what you're worried about, because knowing me, I'm very clumsy, and that is something I would do, but it is very good. So I had a few like go at the little mini games on there, which was good fun. But I need to have a little bit more of a play around to give you my final opinion. But I enjoyed it from what I've played with it so far. As you guys know, I'm a busy person, so that was like one evening I was like, I'm just gonna have a little go. But yes, that was my time with Meta. Next, I thought we'd talk about Halloween, because this podcast episode, I think, is going out on the 1st of November. Or no, 2nd of November. So Halloween technically has been and gone, but I would say that this is kind of Halloween weekend, because Halloween this year I think is on a Thursday, I want to say. So it's kind of like a weird midweek, like when do you celebrate it? Because most people have school, work, uni, whatever. So most people probably aren't really going to celebrate Halloween that much on actual Halloween night, unless you're going like trick-or-treating or that kind of thing. So I feel like most Halloween parties and things are going to be this weekend. So I don't feel like I'm too late to the party talking about Halloween in this podcast episode. But I decided, you know what? Let's, like every year, get the horses dressed up for Halloween. And I was just going to do one, but this year I dressed up as 3 different characters. I went out there, you know. It started off being like, oh my gosh, who should I do? Because in the past I've done Barbie, and a lot of people said in the past that I look like Margot Robbie, which personally I don't see, but I'm going to take that as a compliment, so thank you. So I dressed up as Barbie, and then I've also dressed up as Harlequin, which is also Margot Robbie. She plays Harlequin in I will not say the title of that show or that movie, because this podcast might get taken down. But you know what I mean. The Squad film. Anyway, so moving on. Yes, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But anyway, so I did that. And Mickey was the Joker, which he was adorable as the Joker. Even though he did look a bit creepy, I did think he looks adorable. So this year, I thought, you know what? Who else? What other celebrity do I get told I look a lot like? Elle Fanning, who plays Aurora in Maleficent. That is probably the celebrity lookalike that I get told I look like most. Like randomly, people who have never seen my content before, who like are scrolling on their For You page, and I pop up, they're like, oh my gosh, I need to tell you, you look like this person. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to dress up as her for Halloween. And I didn't know for Aurora, because in the kind of Disney cartoon kind of stuff, animation, she has a pink dress. She also has a blue dress. She has a pink and a blue dress. But I was thinking the blue dress being more Cinderella-y, and I didn't want people to think I was Cinderella. But then I was also worried about the pink dress and me thinking that I was Barbie again. So I was like, what am I going to do? Pink dress, blue cape. Perfect. That's what I went for. And then I got a crown as well, and I really was living my Disney princess dream, because when I was a kid, and I was probably like 5, I think I was 5, and I think I was 6 that I went to Disneyland Paris as a kid, I had a pink Aurora dress. Aurora was always my favourite, or Sleeping Beauty was always my favourite Disney princess, so there we go. I've always been a pink girly, and you know, I feel like younger Esme, if she got told that she looked like a Disney princess, that would be the biggest compliment ever. And I still take it as the biggest compliment ever. So you guys are too kind. I personally don't see it, but she was Elle Fanning was in another film as well. And again, like so many people have said to me, like, I can't watch that film, Esme, because it looks too much like you and it freaks me out. And I'm like, I honestly don't see it. Like, she has blue eyes. I have hazel eyes. Like, I don't know. I feel like we don't look that similar. Anyway, but anyway, so I decided to do that. And then Mickey was Maleficent, and he looked so cute with his little horns and his little black wings that Dad very kindly, like, Dad got out the cable ties. Like, I feel like that is such a dad thing. If anything goes wrong, you best believe some cable ties are coming out to fix the problem. I had that once with my car. I accidentally, this was my old car. This is my first car when I was 17. I was in a rush. I accidentally reversed my car into a flower bed. It's like a wooden sleeper flower bed, and my exhaust pipe fell off. And I was needing to get to school or get to college that day. So my dad was like, don't worry, it's all good. The cable ties are out. Cable tied my exhaust pipe back onto my old Fiat 500. And I was off on my merry way. And to be fair, when I went to the garage did say, your exhaust pipe was literally like hanging on by a thread. It was going to fall off at any point. So it was kind of glad that it fell off when your dad was there with the cable ties, because it was rusty. So just a warning to anybody who's thinking of getting a Fiat. Everything will just slowly fall apart and it will be more expensive. So if you had the money, buy a better built it more expensive car, because in the long run it will probably save you money. Anyway, that is my little SME disclaimer. It was a great first car when I was learning to drive. It was small, it was third hand, so to be fair, it was third hand and very old, so it's probably why it was falling apart. But anyway, moving on away from cars. So anyway, Mickey's thing was cable tied onto his head collar, and then the cable ties came out again for my Beauty and the Beast costume, because I found a brunette wig, and when I tell you, this wig was so cheap that I bought online, but it looked incredible. Like, I was actually shocked with how good it looked. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to prank some people. I'm gonna have to prank them. So I did send pictures. To be fair, the front of wigs always look a little bit dodgy. So if you want a wig to look good, either get like a headband where you can cover the wig line, or some sort of, so I was like, perfect, I can use the tiara, or if you wear a cap as well, wigs look really good. So I was like, perfect, I'll use the tiara to cover up the wig line, but the tiara would slide off the wig, because I couldn't really put it behind my ears or whatever like the other one when I had just my normal hair, so it kept falling off. So Dad was like, it's alright, Esme, I'll cable tie the wig to the crown. Oh my gosh, this crown was so tight on my forehead. When I took it off, I had all these lines on my forehead. I was like, oh no. But anyway, before I put the crown on, I did take a lot of selfies. Did I crop out my forehead so you can see it? Yes. Did I only post pictures with the crown so literally realistic? Yes. The amount of people, I am actually so surprised the amount of people I managed to fool with because I didn't even think it looked like that realistic. Like, some people were like, oh, how come her hair's long? And then other people in the comments were like, no, it's hair extensions. Like, she has done it. There was probably maybe maybe three comments of people being like, it's a wig, or I don't know if this is real or not, or like, is this a joke? But most people were so supportive and so lovely, being like, oh my gosh, slay, love the brunette Esme, so cool. That I had a few people that, I know when you're friends with people, but you only really like talk to them every now and again, like message me being like, girl, did you actually do that? Like, a lot of people I think were a bit shocked as well, because when you go from blonde to brunette, it is so difficult to get brown hair dye out of your hair. Like, it's one of those things where, like, if you want to go back blonde again, then you are gonna probably bleach and fry your hair, which is not great for it. So it, like, if you do that change, it is a big commitment, and it is a big, like, okay, you are doing this. And I would love to go brunette at some stage, but I'm still loving my blonde life at the moment. You know, I feel like it's not my time yet. Maybe when I'm older at some stage, we will see. I feel like there's gonna be so many people that are either gonna be like, because there were actually quite a few people that were like, no, I love the blonde, I'm gonna miss the blonde, I'm not used to you. Actually, one of my friends was like, Esme, when I saw that photo of you, I did not recognise you at all. Like, one of my friends only know me as blonde Esme, and she was like, girl, I did not realise that was you. You look like a whole different person, which is probably not what I want when it comes to, like, social media and things. I want to be kind of recognisable, and people like be like, oh, it says me, I like her content. Well, hopefully people think that. Anyway, so I think the brunette is not for now, but maybe one day we will see. It definitely suits me. So anyway, so I dressed up as Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and Duke was my little beast. Unfortunately, his Beast costume did not work out, but he did look very cute with little roses on his head collar. So what can I say? He looked adorable. And then my last one was probably my favourite, and that was Cruella de Vil. And then Casper was my Dalmatian. So I was going to say, if any of you guys have Appaloosas, that would be a brilliant costume, because then you don't have to do anything to your horse. Your horse is literally spotty already. I love Appaloosas. I think they're so pretty. But anyway, so that one I probably had the most fun with, because I had like the wig, I had all of the dark eyeshadow. I was actually so proud of my eye look. One of my like makeup artist friends were like, girl, you slayed with that. And I was like, that is the biggest compliment ever, because I feel like to have a makeup artist say that your makeup looks good, it's just like they know what they're talking about. So anyway, I was actually quite proud of that. And then had a good old time. There was a lot of cleanup afterwards. Oh my gosh, the office afterwards was trashed. There was I cut like a fringe or some bangs on one of the wigs, so there was like wig hair everywhere. There was different outfits, there was makeup everywhere. Like, oh my gosh, the next day I was like, I'm not doing this tonight, I'm tired, I need to sleep. But in the morning I was like, proper, okay, blitz clean, get everything spick and span. And tell you what, the office has never looked as good. It's still pretty clean now, so maybe you just need to make a big mess and then everything gets tidy again. Probably not the best advice. But anyway, so that was really, really good fun. And now we're on to my dad embarrassing me, because he's looking at me like, I don't know what she's on about. What have I done? What have I done this time? We had another little work trip, and we went and got a coffee, and it was one of those coffee places where you get takeaway and they ask for your name. And you guys, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you will know that my dad's name when he gets a coffee is Davide. That is not his legal name. So anyway, but that is his coffee name. He likes to have an alter ego. So he was in front of me and he was like, oh yeah, my name's Davide. And then the guy at the coffee register was like, oh, David. And any normal person would have been like, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that's fine. No. My dad decides to go, no, it's Davide, and then spells it out. And then he's like, no, you need to make sure you do the accent on it as well. And I was like, oh my goodness, what on earth? I wanted to crawl up in a hole and cry. I was like, this is so embarrassing. Anyway, after that, then the guy asked me what my name is. And like most people probably struggle with my name because it's not the most common. So then I say Esme and he's like, oh my gosh, there's another weirdo with a weird name. Like, how am I going to... They asked me how to spell it. I'm like, I should have just said Emma. Everyone's heard of the name Emma, like, or Emily or something like that. Like, and then I had to spell out my name and I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to think we're so difficult. And it was such a quiet, like, coffee shop as well. It's not like... So we were just, like, waiting there as well for our coffee. And I was just like... Then he was like, Davide! And I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so that was me getting really embarrassed because my dad actually, like, knows places. They're like, yep, okay, write it down, write your name, whatever spelling, you're just going to have to take it or leave it. But no, my dad made the coffee man spell it out, including the accent. So, yeah. So, one of the reasons why my dad and I were actually out in the wild that day, we were back in London again, and that is because we were very kindly invited to Auto Vivendi, who is a supercar club. And if you guys know my family, we are a big family. Like, we are into cars. We're not a big family. We're a big car family. There we go. So we went there, and honestly, it was like walking into like the Bat Cave. They opened the doors, and there were just all of these supercars lined up. So we got to look in them. We got to sit in them. They do lots of really cool trips and that kind of thing if you want to find more information about their supercar club. But we were just there to, like, you know, look at the cars, meet the family. The family was so lovely, and I met their daughter as well, Mimi, who I know listens to the podcast. So hi, Mimi. They were all really, really lovely. I felt so bad though because I got her like a little merch hoodie and we were walking along and it was in a paper bag, and oh my goodness, it was raining so hard. It was like a tiny little walk from the tube station to where they're based, and we were like, oh, it'll be fine, like, we'll, you know, it didn't look like it was going to rain, and then suddenly it was like the biggest rainstorm ever, and this bag just disintegrated. So it didn't come as nicely in a bag or anything like that, but no. So anyway, we looked at all these supercars and they were incredible. They had like multiple different Ferraris, Lamborghinis. They had I can't lie, I do love a Porsche, and they had it in my favourite colour as well, which is crayon grey, so that was cool. They had a Rolls Royce there as well. It's one of the new ones, and it has like the kind of like star ceilings. I feel like if you're car people, you're going to understand and appreciate what I mean. But what was really cool about the star ceilings, they were saying sometimes there's like a little shooting star that goes across, and I was like, what? Also, this car was honestly like a James Bond kind of thing, because there was an umbrella holder that you put your umbrella in, and then once you put it back in again, there was like a hairdryer in this like little umbrella socket that would dry your umbrella for you. And also it had this thing where when you get in the car, if you're in the driver's seat and you push your foot down all the way on the brake, then the door would close for you. And I was like, what in the witchcraft is going on here? It was mental. It was so cool. And of course, I've got to talk about the Lamborghinis, because they had this one Lamborghini there. It was almost in this like rose gold colour. It was so pretty. That was maybe one of my favourite ones there. And honestly, this car was like worth more than my house. It was insane. At first I was like, am I allowed to touch it? I'm scared. And it has the kind of like batwing doors where they come all the way up and down. So that was very cool. But yeah, it was incredible. They had like a big TV kind of projector thing there as well. And they had like video of all the trips. They did this one trip to Iceland that looked incredible. If you guys know me, we have some friends out in Iceland, family friends, and I've been there quite a few times before. Very, very lucky. Incredible, beautiful country. I'd recommend very much. But no, it was very cool. Also one of my other favourites was the blue Ferrari. Like, if you know what I mean by the blue one, it was a beautiful blue. It's one of my favourite colours as well. So it was very, very cool. Very, very lovely day. But anyway, on that note, I've probably been waffling on for way too long. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for listening to today's podcast. I want to say a huge thank you to Red Post for sponsoring the podcast. Check them out at redpostequestrian.co.uk. They ship worldwide. And I will see you all in the next episode. Bye!